Good evening, fellow classmates. I am going to discuss the problem of scale and how it factors into a government's ability to effectively operate and meet the needs of its population. This is our final video assignment. This class has been awesome. Well, there is indeed a connection between human scale and a government's ability to effectively operate and meet the needs of its population. A major factor would be the size of the population. A government with a small number of people would probably perform more effectively and with meeting the needs of a population as opposed to one with a large population. According to Dr. Don Livingston, ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle believed that a government should have a small population, while 17th century English philosopher Thomas Hobbes preferred a very large population. Indeed, Aristotle expressed his preference for a population size for an ideal state to be small or at least moderate in size. In Book 7, Chapter 4 of his classic A Treatise on Government. And Hobbes wrote in Leviathan, Chapter 30 of the Office of the Sovereign Representative, language which can be interpreted to mean that he preferred a large population for a state, primarily because of the ability of the state to collect tax revenue. Right? Another problem which could arise is a government's ability to provide equal representation to all of its population. In Novus Ordo Seclorum, the intellectual origins of the Constitution, Forrest McDonald discussed at length the Founding Fathers' discussions and many different plans for providing congressional representation when deliberating plans for a new governing document for the United States. There were those who wanted an equal number of votes for each state. Some were against equality of the states. Again, in McDonald's book, the issue of representation was prominent. Alexander Hamilton had problems with the concept of federalism. He questioned if a central government and state governments could or even should coexist. He was more comfortable with a central government having the vast majority of the power, much as they do in England, even today in 2025, which is interesting because in Federalist number 34, Hamilton expressed that the Roman Republic had a similar setup that was created, and yet the Roman Republic flourished for over 500 years. So this topic is as old as the beginning of civilization. Of course, resources ought to be mentioned when talking about a government's ability to meet its population's needs, but certainly the number of people in a society could certainly influence the decision making of the policymakers. The exact same issue has just taken place in Virginia Beach, Virginia, right next to where I live. Virginia Beach has a population of over 455,000 people. There were conflicts with their voting system. For years, the city council did not have an African American on it. Much of that was due to the at-large voting system. To make a long story short, the city council and the Virginia General Assembly had to make some decisions to address the issue. All right. So there most certainly is a connection between human scale and a government's ability to effectively make decisions which would address the concerns of the population. Okay. Well, that's all that I have. And hope you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Just spend time with your family and be excellent to each other. Bye-bye.